this project deals with some informative subject matter, sensitive subject matter, potentially stigmatizing subject matter. So I wanted to know what inspired you to want to pursue a documentary about transgender sex workers, this particular subject. And tie into your answer, if you wouldn't mind, what message do you hope to convey to the audience through this project?
Most of the time, it's niggas that you would never know. They will walk up to you, can I get your number? Looking around and shit, making sure nobody is watching.
Before I got any work done, the client will walk out on me. You gotta have titties and body. They wanna see a pretty ass girl with a big dick.
Number one, there are so many reasons why I wanted to do this film. I think the main thing is that I wanted to create a better space for opportunity to think and create conversations between queer Black people and the Black community. You know, just being a creative person in general, I always look at different ways to send a message. I don't like to be talked down to. I don't like to feel like I'm being force-fed anything, and I definitely don't like being underwhelmed. So I don't want to underwhelm. I don't want to preach, but I need to entertain. I know music needs to be involved and it needs to be visually, stimulating, for Black people, and which I love. So I wanted to make a film that I would want to personally watch, and using trans women to do that, I feel like just as a creative, a director, it kind of sets me apart because this is my POV, right? Of how we should tell this story. It should be creative. It's okay if we kind of rip those walls down, those fortresses of asking us this or showing us that, or trans people can't do that, or you can't do this to trans women. It's not a very humanizing space that we're in right now. And I wanted to just program a lot of us into going back into being human and reminding people outside of our community that we're human. So, I want people to take away that, you know what, especially for me, I want to advocate for getting back our narrative. We're Black people. We know how we talk, and we know how to talk to each other. A lot of these points that we're giving as trans people are actually kind of divisive, and they're creating a lot of tension between us and the Black community, really for no reason. And so to do this fully in this way, I just thought it would resonate with Black people more than what's been done in the past.
Very good. So how did you establish, now that your subjects that we see in this project, did you already have a relationship with them prior to the camera rolling? How did you, because there were moments where, especially with some of the Black men, I was like, how did she convince them to be a part of this? And everyone's so comfortable and open and honest and authentic. So how did you establish a connection with your subjects, right? And how did you ensure their safety and privacy, quote unquote privacy, and well-being during the filming of this project?
I've always been, I don't want this to come across arrogant, but I've always been a very compassionate, considerate, emotionally, supportive person. And I don't encourage people to come and cry on my shoulder, but if I feel like people are going through, I've always kind of been that person to make a safe space for someone to tell me something, rather than just going in the corner and sitting down or going in the next room. I've always created that from a child, and I think, I didn't know any of the girls. I knew all of the guys. Some of them I knew better than others. Like Lo, I knew him since 2014. We've done music together. He's an extraordinarily gifted writer. He's written for everyone, as you can see in the film. But a new person that wasn't in the film was The Weeknd. He's done work with The Weeknd, one of The Weeknd's big hit records since then. So Lo has always been a friend of mine. The guys were pursuing music, they're rappers and stuff, and I met them through their managers or whatever, and we just always stayed in touch. But they've always been friends with me. I have a lot of guy friends, and I don't know. For the most part, a lot of trans women have guy friends, and that's another stigma. People think because a guy is walking or on the phone with a trans woman that there's something sexual. It's just a horrible, horrible stigma, because trans women are very we're both, like we're male and female, and we literally can adapt to a lot of situations that most people cannot. Men feel very comfortable with talking to us. Most of the time they're talking about their girlfriends or just what they want to do. It's nothing most of the time. And with women, it's the same thing. You know, we could key and laugh or whatever. But the guys, surprisingly enough, they couldn't wait to be a part of the film, because I think they understand where we are in the culture. Like, no one's really, a lot of people aren't hiding being cool with trans people. And a lot of men aren't hiding their sexuality. There's just this thing that society want to keep alive for some reason, you know, maybe because of, you know, people are getting paid from it or whatnot. But a lot of people are not hung up as much as people think we are about who's with who and who's doing what.
What we usually do as trannies, we be broken down, but we need to stand out. You gotta be the bitch with the biggest boobs, the biggest body.
There's some guys that they just want to fuck you.
Yeah.
They don't want to touch the dick. They don't want to see the dick. They don't want to be reminded that you were once born male.
A lot of us are secrets to many powerful people.
She's not aware of the fact that her black successful husband is upstairs in their beautiful condo down in Tribeca, laid up with a black trans woman.
How do you hope KOKOMO City encourages viewers to take have a deeper understanding of the issues that are explored in this film? Because this is layered. This isn't just not about trans women who are sex workers.
Right.
This is, like you just said, the Black experience,
Right.
the cultural connections that only we have as Black people, the oppression that Black women have regardless of our social status, our economic status, if we're born women or not. You explore all of this. So I definitely recognize that in this project, right? The layers. Is that your hope, that this film encourages others to take a deep dive in the way that I have, what I've taken away, right? You know?
Absolutely. I think as listen, Black people, we've gotten so far away from God. We know what that means.
So
we know
true.
what that
That's
means.
so true.
Listen, but we're so hypocritical because we know that God works in mysterious ways. We know that God could use anybody. But when we say that, we still think, when we say God could use anybody, it's either a male that looks this way or a female that looks that way. No one thinks that God could use a trans woman. No one thinks that God could use a lesbian person. God will use whoever he's got or God has to use to gain attention. God is controversial too. Don't sleep on God. God is a master at marketing. Please stop playing with God. And God has used me, these women, these men, because we're Black people that just want to be a part of our community. There's so many reasons and so many elements and things that create division in our community. And we're so easily falling for it. We're just so vulnerable, and I don't know what's happening to us, but this have given so many Black men, I can't even name names. I mean, like A-list celebrities that have seen this, that, you know, Black men that identifies as straight, you know, they want to support, and they're going to support. And, you know, you don't know until you see the film what it's really truly about. You know, it is not about trans women's sex work. It's about us as Black people coming from the eyes of sex workers.
Dee, I have to ask this because in my notes it says it took you 3 years to put this project together. And I look at it and it's stylized so brilliantly, right? To me, because obviously I went to film school, and I say that because I know the process. I know the work that goes into making a project. I know it's not easy, but you've made this look so effortlessly, right? So if you don't mind me asking, what were some of the challenges you faced while putting this project together that led to a 3-year journey from start to finish?
Well, you know what? Thank you for that. The main thing, really the only thing, was COVID. It wasn't,
of course,
working constantly 3 years trying to find the girls. If it wasn't for COVID, this thing would have maybe taken a year.
In no way are they there to protect us.
Niggas can't accept being with a trans woman in public because it's their ego, and they gonna feel the world is gonna belittle them for what they like.
Violence doesn't happen before the orgasm, it happens after.
I ran across this girl online, and I was like, damn, she bad. Oh, she's transgender. And I was like, how? I was like, she's like Beyonce fine.
When we was growing up, we was always taught you can't be like this. You can't be that way.
It's not accepted in gang life at all. You better be a tough gay nigga, because they gonna tease you, nigga. You can't be soft and gay.
It really was easy for me to do because I was directing, I was doing a cinematographer, I was editing. I didn't have to wait for the editor. I didn't have to explain to the cinematographer. I didn't have to explain anything to anybody. I just did what I saw and I loved it. Some people call it control freak. I really just call it getting it done. You know, I didn't have money to pay anyone for lighting or pay. It was literally just me. So, and I felt so comfortable. That was like that is my spot. You know, that's my spot to do what I do. And I had no disruptions. I had no one slowing me down saying, I don't feel like it today, or I'm tired, or do we have to do that again? You know, there was one time I shot low the first time. He was nervous. He wanted to do it. He wanted to do the movie as much as I wanted him to do it, but he was nervous. You know, and I when I got back to Miami, mind you, I rented a car and drove up there because I wanted to stop and see my mom on the way. But I drove up there to shoot him. And I was praying the whole time, please don't let this man change his mind before I get there. Please don't let him change his mind before I get there. I done rented this car. I done got the hotel. I was like, please. And when I got it, he did good. But when I got back to Miami, I realized he didn't give me not even half of what we talked about over the phone and so I had to do that all over again, rent the car, get the, and by that time he was so in it. So it was like things like that. But it was easy to find the girls. It was easy to get the guys on board. I did all the B-roll. I'm riding through hoods, holding the camera with one hand and holding the steering wheel with the other, looking like the po-po. Girl, I was out here tripping, but you know, you got to get it done. And as a creative person, it doesn't matter how you get it done. You just got to get it out.
Right on. So before we wrap, I have to ask you, you know, one of the subjects in the film, you know, Koko Da Doll, right? I think a lot of awareness was brought to this project when we heard about Koko's murder in April, right? Mm-hmm. So how do you think Koko's case, Koko's life experiences, Koko's achievements will influence the industry's approach, right, to diversity, representation, particularly when it comes to transgender individuals? I
think that is a development that's going to take some time. I think obviously things have progressed since 10 years or 20 years ago with queer and trans people. But it's crazy to me that it really took losing a life to gain someone's attention in a different way. And like I mentioned last night, Koko was meant. She was born to be in this film before she passed. That was literally her divine mission, and it truly was. I mean, everything that she went through her life, like I have chills right now, and I know I'm talking the truth. You know, her life, everything she went through as a child, everything she went through as an adult, and everything that was against her literally was given to her so she could be in this film and tell her story to impact the thoughts of people and, you know, create hopefully sensitivity and empathy from our community and the rest of the world. I want people to know that this is not a game. I wanted to do a film. My intentions in doing this film was pretty much like, I wanted it to feel uplifting in terms of like, I wanted to really express and show, put spotlight on the happiness and the elegance and the grace that trans people have when they're telling their stories, but also tell their stories too, right? But at the end of the day, it did boil down to losing a trans woman. It's just the irony of it all is so jaw-dropping, right? So it really just set things into perspective for me to say, you know, it's okay to, you know, kind of make light of certain things, but, you know, at the end of the day, Dee, this is a very, very, very real thing. And it hits so close to home that I'm actually doing more due diligence and seeing how to create programs to present to younger trans women to say, hey, this is not the only option. This is not the 90s anymore. This is not the template thing to do sex work to get your breasts done. Like we're not in that space anymore. Like even if you have to work at Walmart or at a wherever, we have to do these things. So there's options, and I want to create that space and that opportunity for trans women moving forward.
In this game, sex work, either you get out of it or you end up dead, you end up hot.
This is survival work. This is risky shit.
I want people to understand that it's okay just being something that you was born to be.
One thing I noticed at the start of this documentary, the common theme, and you can correct me if I'm wrong here, right? How trans women get into sex work to begin with. And it seems to me a lot of it starts from rejection at home, the lack of support at home, the lack of love at home, right? What conversations do you hope family members who have queer loved ones, trans loved ones, and there is some apprehension to love these people, these individuals, right? To hug them, just to say, I love you, I support you. I may not understand your lifestyle, but you are my family, I love you. Just the simple act of saying that is challenging for many people of all communities, but especially in our community, right?
That's right. I'm glad you said it all community.
Yeah. So what do you hope those individuals are left thinking about, talking about, if they open their heart up to watching this documentary?
I'm going to say something that's truthful in my eyes, but it's very hurtful. There's a generation that we're going to have to leave behind. It's kind of like if an airplane lets that, oxygen thing down, they say, put it on yourself before you, we have to do that as Black people. We're running out of oxygen. We're holding on baggage and shit that is not helping us as a community. It is literally luggage that is useless, in terms of like moving us forward as a community. Is actually, because why I say that is because we have to learn. I don't know the full history of our ancestors and how we did, but we're very caring, no matter how that looks. We're very caring and nurturing, but we've gotten away from allowing, even me, myself, allowing children to express ourselves emotionally.
It's guy after guy who's in denial. A Black man should be this way, and a Black woman should be that way. Kiss my ass.
As children, we're learned, even chastised or beaten if we show too much sensitivity as boys, and girls have pink balloons for their birthdays and boys have blue, and it's like, that is almost creepy that someone said this is what it is. It's so creepy to me. It's like an Alfred Hitchcock film. Like, it's really eerie that is like how we think and live. But if we learn to coddle, learn to support and not sabotage our children's emotions and a capability to express ourselves as children, we could raise better, healthier minded children. How could we do that if we're still allowing the older generation that can't understand that concept fighting against us and leading the way of what Black people are? So that's what I'm saying. We have to not fight with one another, but we also have to, when a space shuttle goes up, it's only a little part of that goes up. And some of the other stuff that's useless at this point has to just go back down, right? But the mission is still moving, right? And that's what we are as Black people, and we have to recognize who's the strong and who's for us. That's what we are.